Hey y'all, it's Nikki. I have to tell you about Tecovas boots. I finally have a pair and they're handmade, high quality, stylish, and comfortable. I even got them customized with leather stamping. The folks at Tecovas will help you find just the right pair. So swing by for yours at the Tecovas flagship on South Congress or their store at the Domain. Plus, good news, they just opened a new store in Georgetown at 709 Main Street for those of y'all that live a little further north. So come shop with me at Tecovas. That's TECOVAS.com. Don't go gently, y'all. Today on CityCast Austin, it's the Friday News Roundup. I'm here today with Jasper Scherer, politics reporter at the Texas Tribune, and executive producer Eva Ruth Moravec. Of course, we have got to talk about the elections and how they'll impact the city and state, but we will end with something positive, we promise. It's Friday, November 8th. I'm Nikki Devon, and this is what Austin's talking about. Hey, Jasper. Hey, Ava Ruth.
Hey, thanks for having us.
I just called you Ava Ruth. Hey, Ava Ruth.
Hey, Nikki. Hey, Jasper.
Jasper, thanks for being here. We're really excited.
New blood.
I know.
Yeah.
So we're going to get right into it. This week, Donald Trump won the presidential election. We just have to, and we got to get this out of the way. I promise I'm not going to do any ranting or throwing things. Austin, once again, voted the other way, though. Like, overwhelmingly, we elected Kamala Harris. But what does this mean for Austin? Because once again, Texas was like, nah, we got it. It's Trump. Sit back. Let us do this. And there's so many connections. It's a resounding success for the GOP. The Austin connection to Trump is really concerning. There's Joe Rogan, Elon Musk, who evidently is now going to be in his cabinet. Is that right?
Yeah. I think that's a good place to start when we're thinking about, sort of the way that Austin might see, any sort of impact from a future Trump administration. Just, there are all sorts of names at the kind of the upper rungs of Texas politics who've been connected with, possible cabinet spots. I mean, Governor Abbott, I think, is heard his name floated for Attorney General, Secretary of State. He also, I think, would be a pretty safe bet to, make it through a Senate confirmation process with, under a Republican-controlled Senate. So, there's also Ken Paxton, he's tight with Trump and kind of always seems to be in the conversation for some sort of national position. So I think that's just one sort of immediate way that, if you're an Austin resident thinking about what does this mean for me, if there's kind of a reshuffling of the deck at the top of Texas politics, we could see, new Republican leadership kind of directing policy decisions if Governor Abbott jumps to D.C.
I had never even thought it. Like, I've thought about it in the past, but this time I had not even thought of like Abbott and Paxton being part of the Trump administration.
Oh, I absolutely thought about it.
Yeah, and there's, Dan Patrick, our lieutenant governor, also is, maybe even closer than either of those two guys with Trump. So it's, it's kind of a wild card right now. I think everyone's sort of been keeping their cards close to their vest as far as, there's a lot of names being floated around for cabinet posts, but that's something to watch for. I also just thought it was interesting that you mentioned at the jump about how Travis County, of course, as expected, went overwhelmingly for Harris. But, this was kind of a trend that we saw in urban areas across the country, that there was a shift in Trump's direction where these areas still voted for Democrats overwhelmingly. And taking Travis County as an example, I was just looking at the data this morning. It was Trump actually got more votes in Travis County this year than he did 4 years ago, even though turnout was down. He improved his percentage from 26 to 29%, which, sounds horrible, but it's, he got 9,000 more votes. That's 9,000 more votes that Democrats have to overcome, elsewhere in the state, and where they're already starting at a disadvantage.
Do you think that, considering the significant increase in Austin's population since like 2016, do you know, or do we think that the percentage of Austin's population that voted for Trump, that's why it's increased? Do you think it's because we had this influx of people, or is it just like number, like, people changing their minds? Just
yeah, I think it could. Some of it definitely could be. We're kind of seeing this in I think other large cities too, where just the folks who are maybe moving in to not like central Austin, but kind of around the maybe unincorporated Travis County, or kind of on the outskirts. Those do tend to be maybe folks who are voting more conservative. I think also it's been kind of well publicized at this point, but just Trump's performance among men, Hispanic men in particular, I think that could have, and especially sort of low propensity voters, folks who don't typically vote, it's very, very possible that, a chunk of his improvement in Travis County of those, new votes came from, people who didn't vote in 2020, but who did live here. They just didn't vote. So, I don't know, though. I think, is it a kind of an influx of the like Elon Musk bros into Travis County? It could be. I don't know if that accounts for the entire improvement, but it's got to be a factor. Also, Harris got more than her vote share was like she got 30,000 fewer votes in Travis County than Biden did. I think it was actually closer to 35 or 36,000. So it's
that's so crazy.
Yeah.
Across the board, she got less. Across the board, which
that's right. Yeah.
And he did too. Like just across the board, there were fewer people voting for like why? And this seemed like such a passionate election for that to be the case. Like, what should we be taking away from the fact that fewer people voted across the board?
Yeah, it's. There's a lot to unpack there, and I'm sure we'll get a lot of think pieces about this over the next month or so. But I think some of it is 2020 is kind of a tough baseline to I think that was just sort of an exceptional situation in some ways. Just the amount of backlash to this. Trump's just such a unique polarizing figure. There was COVID happening, and just. It seemed like sort of I wouldn't call it an outlier, but I almost wouldn't expect, turnout to hit that point every, each election going forward. That said, maybe 2028 rolls around and, a bunch of folks in deep blue Travis County are really pissed off about how, Trump's last 4 years have gone, and there's, massive turnout again. I'm not sure, but I'm also sort of miffed about what, all the explanations for why turnout was down, given that, I think, maybe some folks thought that abortion, issues would mobilize more women to the polls. And I'm not sure if we saw that materialize quite as much as, as expected. But I'm sure there's a whole lot of explanations.
I just think that nobody was ready for a Black female president. That's what I think. But that is just my opinion.
I think there could be something to that too. We saw with Hillary Clinton, underperforming in some areas 8 years ago too. So it's, I think that's an open discussion going forward.
Because we're still, still getting used to that idea that Black women exist.
It's really interesting. We've talked about this a lot. When Hillary came through, I was really naive to, in my own brain, there were logical reasons why people weren't voting for Hillary that I was like, okay, I could see that. That makes typical political reasons, right? But then there are other reasons. I was like, a woman? What if she has her period while she's in the office? It's just like all of these really weird things that people are like, wait a minute now. Women in charge. Let's back up.
I thought it was interesting how little discussion there was this cycle about, sort of what you were just talking about, but just, right. Generally the fact that kind of the historic nature of Harris's candidacy, there was a little bit more focused on that, like when she was in Houston recently, right. with Beyonce. Beyonce herself kind of alluded to that in her speech, just sort of talking about what it would mean to, for young daughters to see, that something like that was possible. But I just thought it was notable. I didn't really hear a whole lot of talk like that. And I thought it might have been kind of an indication of like where we're at as a country, where, maybe that's not almost as significant of a thing. But, on the flip side, she ended up kind of getting blown out. So it's
No, I think it's just that people like are a little more inclined to talk about it in private when it comes to like the fact that she's a Black woman. I don't think anybody's going to come out and be like, a Black lady. Come on, guys. Nobody's going to do that because you can't do that in public. But I think that probably privately, and what voting showed us, the votes showed us how people feel. That's it. Election night was really interesting. And what struck me, like kind of going back to what you said about different people in Texas kind of maybe having a higher political seat. I just thought it was so interesting and funny that immediately Greg Abbott was like, we just want to congratulate Trump for winning Texas. Like it was given off very much like, Mommy, look at me. Look, Mom, look what we did. Look what I did, Mom. Am I going to get a position? Look how good I did.
And maybe that'll all pay off.
Right. And so that's what I'm just like, oh my God, this is really feeling like one of those moments where a lot of things are about to shift.
Yes.
To me, even more so than in 2016.
It's all coming into place because they've been doing that. I mean, Paxton and Abbott and Dan Patrick have been going out to Mar-a-Lago and laying this foundation for a long time. So, I think you're right, Nikki. Like, it is like, and suddenly the street, shifts and you can see the sun directly through it or whatever the thing is that it's all in place. Not to mention the sort of celebrity element of it, and how that's gonna. So, hey, maybe we'll be voting for a new governor. That could be.
Lord Jesus. I'm curious, Jasper, what was it like to work in a newsroom in Austin? Like what has it been like? Not just not just election night, but during Trump's presidency, what was it like? Because it feels like it would have been insane to me.
I guess I was in Houston for most of Trump's presidency, but I think thinking of even just towards the end of this cycle with Trump coming to Austin, I guess maybe it was just because Joe Rogan happens to be recording his podcast here, but I wonder if Trump is just going to be spending more time like in and around, in and around Texas, in and around Austin, just, even, with his immigration policies, kind of, I think that topic moves even more to the forefront now, just given what, kind of the seismic change we can expect from the Trump administration. I think we will probably see, Trump like physically at the border and just sort of the impact of those changes he's going to make. I mean, I know Austin is hundreds of miles from the southern border, but it's, still has an impact on sort of what the city's population can look like if folks are moving here after crossing the border.
Have you heard about the Better Way to get your blood tested in Austin? Better Way is a new Austin startup that's reimagining blood testing to make it friendly, convenient, and affordable. You might have seen it in the Wall Street Journal, NPR, and Texas Monthly. Now, instead of big vials of blood from your arm, it's a very small sample from your fingertip. It's a great alternative if you have issues with traditional blood draws. You can order for yourself or through your doctor. It's available at local pharmacies like H-E-B, People's, and Lake Hills. It's super convenient with evening and weekend times, and prices start just at $15. The samples go to the lab here in Austin, and you get a report sent to your phone in 1 to 2 days with easy-to-understand results. If it's been a while since your last blood test, or you just want to check in on your health, get 20% off of your first order with code CITY@betterway.com. That's CITY, C-I-T-Y, at betterway.com. Well, I anticipate that he will have his hands all over our business. But, I think that it is important to keep our eye on our local politics and our local elections. And we have had some big elections locally this week. We had 5 people running to be Austin's mayor. There were 5 council seats up for grabs, 2 ballot propositions. District attorney held on to his position. Lots of exciting stuff. Despite what my voice might relay. And we also had the U.S. Senate race with Colin Allred and Ted Cruz.
I love the size.
Y'all, I'm so tired of saying that man's name. I don't know what to do with myself. It's like between Ted Cruz and Elon Musk, I feel like a little piece of myself kind of shrivels up. Chips away every time.
I feel like you're going to start hearing Elon Musk's name or at least for the next 4 years, I would think.
Oh, God.
Hate to tell you that, but
yeah.
It's where we're at.
I know. You know what? It's a truth bomb. Sometimes we need to hear it. So I think I want to get my least favorite bit of news out first. So Jasper, you were at the Ted Cruz watch party. What was that like? Were they all at all surprised? Like, what was going on there? I'm curious.
Yeah, it was at a Marriott hotel ballroom in downtown Houston, which is where Cruz is from. And it was upbeat, like pretty much throughout the night. I mean, it was a great night for Republicans. It was a bad night to be a Democrat. And, they kind of had these kind of giant screens at the front of the room where they were broadcasting. I think it was Fox News most of the night, periodically have, the graphics pop up showing, Georgia called for Trump, and it would just be a huge eruption of cheers, throughout the room. And eventually Cruz comes out. It was fairly early in the night just because of how decisive his race was. And, I think he was upbeat as well. And just kind of like, he seemed relieved to after, Beto just giving him such a scare 6 years ago. I think he's like, it was a huge win for him just to be able to, I'm sure he's looking ahead to running for president in 2028.
Oh my God, Jesus.
and kind of snuffed out the, hopes of turning Texas blue anytime soon. So it was just very much a kind of a party atmosphere with a whole lot of, I would say the older white contingent was pretty well represented there. I'm being snarky there, but also Ted Cruz, according to exit polling, narrowly carried the Hispanic vote statewide in Texas, which is kind of one of the big stories of the night.
What in the entire listen
after the way he's treated people?
Look, I anticipated that the older white people would have been like boot scoot boogieing all around his watch party. That is clear to me that is what would happen. And that is not a slight to boot scoot boogieing because I enjoy boot scoot boogieing myself. So let's be very clear about that. Your girl loves to boot scoot boogie, or Charlestoning, whatever they be doing, whatever it is.
You're on the record. You're supportive of boot scooting.
I'm supportive of boot scoot boogieing.
Pro boot scoot.
But the Latin vote, that surprised me. It really, really did surprise me. I'd be so curious. And this is what elections do for me. Like, once I get over my rage, I'm so curious to talk to people. Where was your head? What made you make that decision? Because I'm interested and I'm curious. I want to hear it.
Yeah. And make sense of how could we be in, that's what I'm like. I want to make sense of it too, to just figure out where is my place in this landscape? How does my thinking fit in with the majority that voted in this election, at least, that version of the US or Texas or even Austin that is being portrayed.
And I think I also just sometimes in my head automatically am just like, oh, brown people are going to vote the same way I vote because I'm brown, or black people are going to vote the same way I black because I'm black. I do honestly get that naive idea in my head. Oh yeah, they're going to vote like me. So when it doesn't happen, I'm like, oh shit, I should wow. Like once I'm over my surprise, I'm trying to have those conversations. I'm interested. I want to know where your brain was.
I think it obviously leaves Democrats with a lot of soul searching as far as, just the way that they're communicating with and reaching out to Latino voters. And it kind of underscores the point that it's sort of become a cliche in talking about the Latino vote, quote unquote, how it's just very much not a monolithic community. And it's, I mean, this just really underscores that point, how, the Rio Grande Valley, a longtime Democratic stronghold, went narrowly red, at least at the presidential level this year. And I mean, that's just like as good an example of a wake-up call as you could get in Texas politics, that, Democrats have thought that coalition was going to power them to, flipping the state at some point. And it's just a huge setback for them. And it also, they should be doing exactly what you were just saying, Nikki, is like going to talk to these folks and trying to figure out what the heck happened, because I don't think they understand either.
Yeah, I do have a really important question though for you, Jasper, and you do not have to answer it. Does Cruz look as terrifying in real life as he does on camera?
He very much so. He looks like the Zodiac killer combined with I feel like the other meme is that he sort of looks like the blobfish. No, I'm kidding. I feel like he's actually, at least when he's talking to reporters, he was actually, to give him to his credit, he was very accessible on the trail. He would do like press gaggles with us after, and in all fairness to him, I did appreciate that he was kind of open, on the trail. And I think he was kind of trying to draw a contrast with Colin Allred, who his Democratic opponent, who didn't wasn't as actively out there on the trail, doing these large events, very much not running the sort of Beto 2018 strategy. And I think Cruz was sort of trying to sharpen that contrast, I guess. But but yes, he also has, I think, leaned into those Zodiac killer comparisons. I mean, listen, try to humanize himself a little bit.
He's terrifying. So also other things that have been happening in our city, a part of our local elections, and we still do not have a mayor.
Yep. Who knows? Could come down to your vote. So I hope Austinites are really feeling important, because if you were part of the percentage that sat out this year, you could have actually made a difference in this mayoral race.
And that's after Watson's first win, also kind of coming down to the wire. I mean, it's like back-to-back elections that kind of provide proof that, your vote actually carries a whole lot of weight.
I mean, honestly, listen, Carmen Yanez Pulido is the person that he's likely going to have to run off with. And this is a community organizer and activist. Like, this is genuinely, like, regardless of the outcome, this is genuinely one of those, like, pivotal moments. It's like, no, really, your local vote counts for real. Yeah. You have this, like, monolith or Leviathan or whatever the word is in Kirk Watson, who's just, if you would ask anybody on the street, they would assume that it would have been a sweep.
Yep. He's a machine. He knows everyone in the city, or makes everyone feel like they know him.
I saw he put out a statement on election night, sort of framing it as, we always knew that it was going to be a tough battle to win outright, just given the number of people running against him. So it's sort of like a, pick your own adventure. I'm sure folks who supported him from the beginning think it's great that he's in position to win outright, and folks who are supporting his opponents think it's a great sign that potentially a little bit more than half of the electorate wanted someone else. But, it raises the point of, like, if he does get forced into a runoff, that, of course, he'd still be a heavy favorite to win. But at the same time, it sort of fuels, it provides more fuel for Watson's critics, who say, look, he needed an overtime round to do this. And, it's like we have a mandate for change in some form. It's even if Watson is the mayor, maybe this will force him to sort of he's gotten some criticism for kind of taking a my way or the highway approach. Maybe he should, be more intentional about seeking input from the community or other council members, that kind of stuff. Of course, he's still the mayor, so if he wins, so it's kind of however he interprets the results, I guess. But that's I think that's sort of the line of thinking. It's like even if he gets forced into a runoff, maybe that forces him to think a little harder about some of his decisions.
The one big thing I keep thinking about too is just like the amount of money that gets sunk into these elections. For Kirk Watson to get that 50.05%, he spent more than $1 million, and that's just going to keep building if there is a runoff, of course, because they're going to be, we thought this election turnout was small. A runoff is going to be like really the, people who have nothing better to do the first 2 weeks of December. But yeah, it's that the mayor, I think that we had talked a lot as a team. We interviewed all the candidates, and I think, there was some expectation that there would be a runoff, right? Like it was like, who is it going to be between? Mm-hmm. Did not have Doug Greco coming in last on my bingo card.
Did not
think pull your pants down and slide on the ice. Jeffrey Bowen was going to beat him.
Listen, dark horse. You got to be on the lookout. You got to be on the lookout for the like dark horse boomer, because he was not playing.
Yeah,
that's why I guess that unpredictable nature of how these things can go is also why runoffs can be so dangerous for incumbents. That's not to say make a prediction that Watson would lose or anything, but it's just they're starting at zero again. Watson doesn't start that runoff with 49.9%. They're both at 0 votes. They both have to refill their campaign coffers, because a lot of the time you kind of empty the bank account trying to get across the finish line in November. So I don't know. It could be interesting. It could create some uncomfortable conversations for Watson if he falls below that threshold.
And here comes Carmen Yanez Molino with this like community backing and this push from the community and all of this help to give him quite a run for his money. So I'm just saying, don't think if you don't do nothing else locally, you should be involved. Also, Chito Vela kept his seat. Valesa Fuentes kept her seat. City Council District 6, Mackenzie Kelly lost. Which I'm going to be super honest, I did not see that coming. Mm-hmm. But evidently D6 always kind of flip-flops. There was Don Zimmerman. After him was Jimmy Flanagan. And now we flipped again after Kelly. DA Jose Garza held on to his position.
Mark Dushin won his race.
Okay.
District 10, I believe.
10, okay.
Oh, District,
okay. So
District 10.
10, because that was close too.
It was nasty, as our producer noted that night.
That one was also, I think, on a knife's edge.
I'm curious, was Mackenzie Kelly our only conservative council member?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, she was. And now there's none. Now it's all blueberries.
I think this is going to be interesting. Like, what is this going to mean for Austin's housing policy, transportation, like social services? This is exciting.
Budget. Is it just going to get, Yeah.
Right. I mean, that was kind of the argument in favor of, keeping someone like Mackenzie Kelly on the council, is just to kind of have that, wanting to avoid having it turn into an echo chamber, so to speak. And, but I guess on the other hand, there's some real policy differences between her and the incoming council member. I think one of the big changes that I know her opponent was in favor of Austin's, recent housing changes, the home initiative. So I think one of the tangible results of these elections, I guess, is that the council's kind of pro YIMBY contingent it was already strong, and now it's bolstered even more.
Yeah.
Just wanted to mention also, when it comes to the city council churn, that of those 5 seats, we do still have District 7 that's undecided as well.
That's right.
And that one will be headed to a runoff. So maybe, I guess if it's a 2 for runoff, maybe there'll be a higher turnout if it's a District 7 and the mayor. But at least District 7 will be a runoff in December between Mike Siegel and Gary Bledsoe.
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
Good. I was worried we were running out of elections. That's good to hear.
Right? I know. Just not so
Still
fast.
More decisions to make.
Yeah, it is. It's just so important to be active and aware in these races. And it's, this is our money. We pass these propositions that are going to raise people's property taxes quite a bit and provide services that are really needed. And, whether you own a home or not, these increases are going to get funneled down to you one way or another, whether it's in rent or fees or, your price, your taxes. But I just feel like this election really, maybe it's just because we've been talking about it so much, but it seems like there's just so much that could change sort of the future of Austin, what the next, few years are going to be like, from these 5 city council seats to the mayor to these propositions and, just everything kind of, again, coming into place for this big potential, who are we and what the hell are we doing here next?
So you bring up a good point. Speaking of taxes going up, AISD and Travis County both got 2 propositions passed. That's going to mean taxes going up for homeowners in Travis County. And I think it's like somewhere combined, there'll be about just under $600 a year in the tax increase. Like it didn't seem like it was a narrow victory. It seemed like it was a pretty high percentage of homeowners that voted for both propositions. And so I'm curious if this is going to affect what the state does for taxes.
One thing to consider there is over the last several years, the legislature obviously has been kind of making an effort to rein in what, especially in 2019, they passed, kind of an overhaul meant to limit how much, tax revenue that local governments could collect. Mm-hmm. But a key part of that those reforms was they included sort of a measure or a mechanism for, if voters did want to exceed that property tax revenue cap, they could vote to do so. And I think that the fact that, this was sort of the fact that, as you were alluding to, Nikki, these initiatives passed by fairly comfortable margins sort of shows that there is, even in Travis County with property tax, the property tax burden being what it is, folks still, seem to kind of make a statement that, let's make sure we pay our teachers, especially after the legislature last year neglected to provide raises after that got caught up in the private school voucher fight. So I think it sends a message in some ways that, basically voters are going to take advantage of that mechanism to, exceed when they feel like there's, the need is warranted, that they're okay paying that extra, $40, $50 a month to, try to make sure our schools are properly funded, that kind of stuff.
To me, it seems like a no-brainer, right? But I'm not a homeowner. And I said this on election night. It feels really good that homeowners have decided to essentially step in and take care of the community. That homeowners voted to be like, yep, let's do it. Let's get it done.
And non-homeowners.
I mean, non-homeowners too.
Everyone
right?
got a say in that,
Yeah.
Knowing that it's going to have an impact on your wallet one way or another. I mean, I think you're right. That's a decision that Austin voters said we value childcare for Travis County residents. We value increasing pay for our teachers in the public school district and trying to keep that system going, even though it gets chipped away at, every year. And there are these promises that didn't come through from the state. So, these are our values, which does feel like, okay, I belong here.
Right.
These are values that I feel like are reflective of, things that I care about.
Because I do not have kids. I do not have a house. I do not need childcare. But but I do understand.
You want your neighbors to.
I want my neighbors to. I want my friends that have kids or that want to have kids to be able to, and I want my friends that are teachers to be paid well. So good job, Austin. That was.
But also don't worry. Your landlord will pass on those extra costs
I'm sure,
to you in
yes.
your rent. So
I'm sure
we appreciate your sacrifice as well.
Yeah.
I don't know. All week, or maybe not all week, but a lot of the week, last couple of days, I've been trying to find a silver lining and trying to make myself feel better. And your girl is not there yet, but I will say that Austin, for the most part, remains the place that I grew up in and that I love. And it feels like my values are still shared with the majority of the people in the city. And that's important to me. It's important that where I live specifically, I feel safe and my loved ones feel safe. And I think that there was evidence of that in the way that, for the most part, the city voted. So I'm excited about that. And that also takes me into the segue of our next topic.
Pew, pew, pew.
Nicely done.
About some things that maybe happened in our life this week that was awesome, good news, or some things that we're looking forward to that are good news that have absolutely nothing to do with this election. And more about just our lives and living it and moving forward. So the other half of our team, Kelsey and Rishi, could not be with us today. Shout out to Kelsey and Rishi. But they did tell us their good news for the week. Kelsey is finally feeling confident enough to start making a quilt.
Yay!
For those of you who don't know, Kelsey is an incredible seamstress and makes all kinds of cute little clothes and puts them on the internet, and it is freaking adorable. She makes little handkerchiefs for Malcolm. She made a dress last week for a wedding at the last minute. Like, it was no big deal. She's a superstar.
I'm distressed to hear that she was not feeling up to, to quilting for any period of time. I'm glad that she's back on track.
Yeah.
Right. And then Rishi has been practicing a drumming exercise that he finally got the hang of. For those of you that don't know, Rishi is a drummer in bands, all musical and stuff.
Our producer. I feel like drumming would be a great way to get out some feelings these days.
It's great. It is great.
Except for I'd be more like Animal, just like crazy.
Sometimes just John Bonham it. That's all you need to do.
Yes.
Even what about you?
I've been having a few times lately, I have seen fried olives pop up in my life. And I am not that good at cooking things, but I can follow a recipe, and if I'm determined, I'm going to make it really good. So I would like to learn how to make fried olives. So if you have any tips, let me know. It doesn't look that hard. They're little. They have a lovely layer of crispy stuff on them. So
sounds amazing.
A good distraction.
Yes.
That sounds amazing.
If I'm good at this recipe, I'm gonna have a fried olive party, and I'll invite everybody over to taste them.
Jasper, what about you?
Yeah, I'm mostly looking forward to taking a couple weeks off, hopefully at the tail end of, I guess, December, still kind of TBD exactly, but and just not thinking whatsoever about politics, just having some time to recharge my brain. And I think we're all kind of just exhausted emotionally and I don't know, physically for me, just staying up so late on election night, but just kind of having some time to recharge mentally and just with how much Texas Texas politics, but also just politics overall have invaded every space of our being. I'm just looking forward to having some time to recharge. And then, the other thing I'm looking forward to after that, the reason I need to recharge is the start of the legislative session. I think it's going to be absolutely insane next year. Just so much uncertainty with who's going to be leading the state house and chamber, who the speaker is going to be, and
So much drama.
And now I'm thinking about like all the additional drama of like, what if Abbott, Patrick, Paxton are gone, like in January? I mean, this could all happen. I'm sorry, I don't mean to take you out of your looking forward to having some time away from all this stuff.
You're taking Jasper out of my hand space right now.
I did this to myself.
We got right back there.
I always have to bring it back to politics somehow.
You'll just have to be somewhere where you have no cell service and you can only touch grass and
like nothing.
Feel the nature.
Look, you need to be somewhere in a spa. Don't do this nature crap. There we go. Spa.
Yeah.
And then that way when you like come back from vacation, the Rocky theme is playing. Da-da-da,
yes.
Da-da,
I like this.
You just be ready. You'll be ready.
Pump you up.
I'll take that into consideration. That's a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, I can record just my voice. Da-da-da. No, I'm kidding.
I'm already getting pumped up.
You just let us know. We'll hype you up.
Okay.
Listen, all the time. This week for me, I got to celebrate my old lady's birthday. She has a name. Her name is Nicole. I should stop calling her my old lady. But we got to celebrate her birthday last night, and it was lovely. It was really nice. I think that everybody needed something sweet and fun to do. So we just all got together. We mixed her friends and my friends a little bit, and my mom came and went to the Cabana Club and played trivia because that's what you do. And it was nice, and it was a really good distraction to celebrate her and, everybody shower her with good stuff and good things because she's so damn cute.
Yay, Nicole. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. And then I have a show coming up in December to prepare for. So that always, being creative is always my escape. Always,
what kind
always,
of show?
always.
A Fat Bottom show or a musical show?
This is a Fat Bottom show. So it's our big show that we're having before I take a break. I take a much needed break. And so I'm excited because I get to be creative, and creativity is definitely the thing that keeps my brain on straight. So awesome. I'm super excited about that. That's my good news.
Awesome.
And, we also have some other good news, and that is the end of our show.
Pew, pew, pew.
Yay.
We made it to the weekend.
We made it to the weekend. This week is done. It's over. It's weekend time. We're very excited. Thank you so much for rounding up the news with me this week. Please, Jasper, come back whenever you want.
That sounds great. Anytime.
Yeah, please. Bye, Jasper. Bye, Eva Ruth.
Bye, Nikki.
Bye.
That's all for today here on CityCast Austin. Our executive producer is Eva Ruth Moravec. Our producers this week were Rishi Bajekal and Elizabeth Kama. And I am your host, Nikki Devon. Our Hey Austin newsletter editor is Kelsey Bradshaw. Music is by Nelson Valente Aguilar of Como Las Movies. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell a friend, rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our Hey Austin newsletter. We'll be back Monday morning with more news from around the city. Bye, y'all.